What if the quiet shoemaker in your compound was hiding a past bigger than anyone could imagine? What if the man everyone mocked for being poor was once an empire builder? This is the story of Baba Malik, the man who hid his crown to protect his daughter, only to reclaim it when the world least expected. Once upon a time, in the beating heart of Surulere, Lagos, where the sounds of downfall horns, children playing with tires, and the hiss of the annoying tenants are as familiar as the hum of the NEPA bringing light, there lived a man known by all as Baba Malik. Not much was known about him, except that he repaired shoes at the front of the compound and had a daughter too fine for her surroundings. They called him the compound shoemaker. Some said he was once a soldier, others claimed he was just one of those old men who came from the north after the war and never left Lagos. Either way, nobody could deny his daughter Aisha was the true mystery. The compound itself was a typical Lagos jungle. One row of face me, I face you rooms, a shared toilet, and bathroom that could start World War III on Saturday mornings, and the famous Mama Tayo's buka right outside the gate that sold beans like she was sprinkling gold dust on it. You could hear every family's gist if you sat by the tap long enough. Baba Malik and Aisha lived in room 7 at the very end. Their room was always clean, quiet, and somehow untouched by the chaos that defined the compound. Aisha was 26. She had soft brown skin, thick hair that always tucked under her scarf, and the kind of eyes that looked like they'd seen both pain and peace. She worked as a teacher at a private school, 2 streets away. Children loved her. Mothers gossiped about her. Ah, that girl too fine to be living here. See her clothes now. Even a dry cleaner can't iron the way she does. With her English and poise, she's supposed to marry doctor or engineer by now. But Aisha never rushed. She came back home, helped her father with dinner, sometimes read books in the corridor, and stay far from drama. Except compound drama always finds you. There was Mama Njideka, the queen of noise. If NEPA cut lights while she was cooking, she'd shout so loud, PHCN would hear her in Yaba. There was Uncle Kolapo, the compound's chairman who had never paid rent in 2 years, but collected dues with authority. And then there was Sandra, the makeup artist with 3 ring lights, 2 boyfriends, and 1 mission to trend on Instagram by force. Everyone, and I mean everyone, had something to say about Baba Malik and Aisha. Why are they always hiding inside? Abi na ritual did they do for that room? Aisha figure sugar daddy, na the only explanation. But Baba Malik never responded. He only smiled, that small quiet smile that made people uncomfortable. Every morning by 7 a.m. sharp, Baba Malik would set up his small wooden table near the compound gate, polish, brush, thread, and needle. He spoke little, mostly to greet or thank customers. Some admired his humility, others mocked his poverty. See as the man dey work like say him get pension, na so old age go humble everybody. Even when people insulted him, he never flinched. He'd just adjust his faded cap and continue stitching. But Aisha noticed something strange. He never collected more than 200 naira per shoe, even from rich customers with cars. And he never ran out of supplies. Glue, polish, thread, everything was always available, always full. But where did the money come from? One Sunday afternoon, Chairman Kolapo called the compound meeting. The issue? Toilet usage. Yes, the same toilet Sandra once booked for her Photoshop because of the good lighting. As expected, chaos erupted. Mama Njideka said, "If your son piss for floor again, I go swear for am." Uncle Jide said, "Me wey dey flush toilet, dem still dey complain. Dis compound no go better." Then Sandra looked at Baba Malik and said, "At least, person wey no dey use our toilet make she no vote abeg." Everyone turned. Baba Malik stood up slowly and said, "When you live with dignity, even silence becomes a language." Then he walked away. Sandra hissed, but inside, she felt something. One evening, as Aisha returned from work, she saw Baba Malik cleaning a pair of men's shoes, but those shoes were different. They were designers, the kind you only see in CEOs' closets. Aisha frowned. "Papa, this shoe, where did you get it from?" He smiled. "Someone forgot it here. I'm just polishing." But Aisha knew better. That wasn't an ordinary shoe, and the stitching style, it reminded her of something she once saw in a photo in her father's old metal box, the one he never let her touch. That night, she went to bed restless. The next day, while Baba Malik was away, she tried to open the box again. It was locked, always locked, but this time she noticed a folded paper tucked under it. She pulled it out slowly. It was an old letter addressed to Engineer Malik Ibrahim, Property Division. Her heart skipped. Engineer? Her father, a shoemaker, was once an engineer? Just as she was about to read more, she heard footsteps. She stuffed the paper bag. Baba Malik walked in with roasted corn and cold sachet water. "You are home early," he said calmly. She nodded. Yes, the children had malaria tests, no classes. Their eyes met, and for the first time, she felt like he knew she had found something. That night, as generators hummed and mosquitoes danced above sleeping children, Baba Malik sat outside, staring into nothing. The moon lit his tired face. His hands were calloused, his clothes were plain, but behind his eyes was the glint of someone who once had everything, and maybe still did. Aisha watched him from the curtain and whispered to herself, "Who exactly are you, Papa?" Somewhere across the street, a young man stepped out of a black Toyota Corolla and asked the passerby, "Sorry, please, where can I find a man called Baba Malik?" Yes, the storm was coming, and no one in the compound was ready. The early morning screech of hawkers, the afternoon sound of Sandra filming makeup tutorials with generator hum in the background, and Mama Njidega's evening gospel music loud enough to summon Elijah. But when room 3 suddenly became occupied after months of being empty, everyone took notice. Femi arrived on a Tuesday morning with 2 Ghana must-go bags, a laptop backpack, and a small confident smile that said, "I'm not from around here, but I know what I'm doing." Sandra watched him from her window. "Ah, God abeg o, see fresh meat." He was tall, skin like smooth gari, low-cut fade, and wore joggers with that quiet city boy aura. He greeted everyone politely. He even bowed slightly to Baba Malik, who only looked up from polishing a shoe and nodded once. Aisha noticed too, just briefly. Then he returned to folding washed clothes at the back. By the end of day 1, Femi had fetched water from the compound like a gentleman, repaired the leaking bulb outside his room without asking, giving the local children a small bag of sweets. By day 2, Sandra had already started borrowing sugar and asking him to help her lift her ring light. "Just small hair, Biko. Now you be our new engineer," she said, giggling too hard. Femi smiled, but his eyes always trailed back to room 7, to Aisha. It happened over pure chance. The compound tap broke again. Aisha stood by with her bucket, watching water leak sideways like Lagos tears. Femi walked over. Looks like our tap has entered depression, he said. She chuckled, small and controlled. It cries more than the last tenant who left. They both laughed. That was all. But it was enough to start the kind of spark Lagos rain couldn't kill. That evening, Baba Malik watched his daughter from the corner of his eyes. She was smiling more, not wide smiles, just little ones, the type her late mother used to give when washing rice in the kitchen. He sighed. Inside, he knew it had begun. One night, Baba Malik sat outside, his shoemaker box beside him, polishing a worn-out boot slowly. He stared into the street, then whispered, "Forgive me, Aminat." 16 years earlier, Baba Malik was known as Engineer Malik Ibrahim, a respected property developer with 3 estates in Lagos and 2 in Abuja. He had a beautiful wife, Aminat, and 2 children, a son, Malik Jr. and Aisha, just 10 at the time. But greed came. His close friend and business partner sold him out to kidnappers. They ambushed the family one night. His son was shot. His wife died in his arms, and Aisha was spared only because she was hiding under the kitchen table, praying in whispers. After that night, Baba Malik vanished. He buried his identity, abandoned the businesses silently, moved into the slums of Mushin, then to Surulere. He told Aisha nothing. Aisha was traumatized. She blocked most of it out. He fed her a simple story. We moved here for peace, and Aisha never questioned him again. Femi wasn't like most men in the compound. He worked from home, always on Zoom calls, fingers flying across his laptop. He once told Aisha, "I build website, but I'm tired of fake friendships in Lekki. I wanted something real." She smiled. "You won't find peace here. People fight over bathroom ties." He laughed, but something about Femi was clean, controlled, observant, too observant. One afternoon, Sandra caught Aisha smiling as Femi passed by. She screamed, "Eh, eh, eh! Love is booming in room 7, no." Everyone laughed. Even Mama Njideka said, "Shoemaker daughter don't find love, but is he ready for shoe and rice life?" Aisha rolled her eyes and walked away. Days passed. Femi started walking her halfway to work. Sometimes waited at the gate to greet her in the evening. He bought mangoes, helped kids with homework, and never flirted loudly. He was subtle, quiet, and kind, and that's what made Aisha nervous. One night, during NEPA blackout, they sat by the gate. No ring light, no noise, just moonlight. Femi asked, "Why don't you ever talk about your mom?" Aisha froze and said, "I don't remember much. She died when I was young. Papa doesn't talk about it either." He nodded. Some pain can't be named. Their eyes met. That silence, it was louder than thunder. And from that moment, Femi knew she wasn't just beautiful. She was broken but strong. Meanwhile, Baba Malik grew colder. He watched them more often. He stopped smiling. One evening, he called Aisha in. "Be careful," that was all he said. No threats, no drama, just warning. And Aisha, out of respect, began to keep distance. Femi noticed, and it hurt. Femi sat in his room one evening, laptop open but mind closed. He began googling something strange. How to know if someone is hiding their identity. Signs your neighbor is not who they say they are. How to approach a girl whose father hates you. He didn't understand it yet, but something felt off. Not with Aisha, but with Baba Malik. Outside, the old man sat once again, cleaning a shoe. But tonight, the shoe wasn't local. It was imported leather, Italian, same brand his former business partners used to wear. He stared at it for a long time, then looked at the stars and whispered, "He's getting close." By now, the compound had accepted Femi and Aisha as that couple. Even Sandra stopped flirting. Mama Njideka reduced her monitoring spirit, and Uncle Kolapo, he'd already started predicting wedding jollof rice. Make una remember say I like soft meat, not that rubber chicken of room 4's wedding. Oh. Everyone was rooting for them. Everyone was rooting for them, except the man who mattered most, Baba Malik. Femi had it all figured out. It would be simple, nothing flashy. He'd walked her to the classroom gate, gave her a folded letter, and wait outside. Inside the letter, he wrote, "I came here looking for peace, but I found something else. You. If you have me, Aisha, I want to walk this road with you. In slippers, in stilettos, flat or tarred, rain or shine, say yes." At the bottom, he asked, "Will you marry me?" Aisha walked out from the school gate smiling, her eyes warm, her cheeks flushed. "You are lucky I like slippers," she whispered. He almost melted. That day, Lagos sun didn't shine as brightly as her eyes. 2 days later, Femi returned from market errands to find Baba Malik waiting by his shoemaker box. "Femi, come," he followed. They sat on the wooden bench outside room 7. Aisha wasn't home. There was a long silence. Then the old man spoke, quietly but with thunder behind it. "I heard you want to marry my daughter." Femi nodded, smiling. "Yes, sir, I love her." Another silence. Then came the line that dropped like a dead generator. "No, just that. No explanation, no raised voice, just no." Femi blinked. "Sir?" Baba Malik repeated, "No, you cannot marry Aisha." No shouting, no emotion, just final, like a judge, like a door slamming quietly in your face. Femi sat there stunned, then stood. "Can I ask why?" Baba Malik didn't look up. Not now, maybe never, and that was the end of it. That night, Aisha confronted her father. "Papa, why? You always said love was rare. Why are you rejecting mine?" He looked up slowly. "Because he hasn't shown me the truth yet, and I can't gamble with your future." "But I've seen the truth," Baba Malik replied. "You saw feelings, I see patterns." Aisha left the room in tears. By morning, it had spread. "Ah, Baba shoemaker don't break engagement oh." Femi chop breakfast from papa-in-law. Sandra was the loudest. "Aisha, if you no wan marry am, pass am to me abeg." Mama Njideka added spies. What if the papa na ritualist sef? Why he no want joy for the girl? The gossip spread like wildfire, but Aisha didn't speak. She stopped smiling, stopped greeting, stopped walking to work with Femi. At first, Femi was patient, but then he started noticing things, little things. Baba Malik always had exact change. Aisha once mentioned they never lacked pepper, even on empty days. A mailman once came to deliver a package, a foreign catalog on property law. Who orders property law books to room 7? That evening, Femi followed Baba Malik after he left to pray at the mosque. He didn't go to the mosque. He walked 3 streets down, entered a shop with a discreet back door, and didn't return for hours. Femi waited. When the old man returned, he noticed Femi watching from afar. He didn't flinch. He just walked past, muttering, "Curiosity has a price." The next day, Aisha confronted Femi. "Are you following him?" Femi blinked. "I just want to understand why he said no." Aisha replied, maybe, just accept it. You didn't. That's different. He's my father. And he might be lying to you, Femi replied. That one hit Aisha. Aisha looked away. You don't know him. And Femi replied, neither do you. And there was silence. That night, after everyone slept, Baba Malik sat on the corridor and opened the box. Inside were his late wife's wedding ring, his son's broken glasses, a photograph of him and his old company board members, and a folded letter. He looked at the photo and at the moon and whispered, I'm doing this for you, Aminat. The next day, a black SUV parked 2 streets away. A man stepped out in a suit. He looked around and made a call. I found him. He's alive and he's living like a shoemaker. 6 weeks later, the land was small, tucked behind an unfinished church in Aguda, the kind of plot most people overlooked because it lacked a proper road and had wide grass, taller than a toddler. But for Femi, it was perfect. He spent days clearing the land, brick by brick, sweating under the Surulere sun. He called in favors from old clients, battered with welders, worked nights on his laptop, coding websites while his hands still ached from mixing cement during the day. He wanted Baba Malik to see it, not the building, the effort, the discipline, the proof that he wasn't just in love with Aisha, he was ready to build for her, with her. Every Sunday morning, Baba Malik passed the land on his way to buy supplies. He never stopped, he never waved, but he saw. He saw the slow rise of a fence, the curve of a foundation blocks, the pole marking what will soon be a front porch. And for the first time in many years, his chest didn't feel tight from fear. It felt full. Aisha hadn't spoken to Femi in weeks, not because she was angry, but because she didn't know what to say. She didn't know how to say, I'm grieving and loving at the same time. I need space to breathe. One Saturday evening, she slid a letter under his door. I miss you, but I needed to hear the silence between us. I see what you are building, not just the house, but yourself. When you are ready, I am too. Femi read it 3 times, then smiled. On the 8th Sunday, Baba Malik did something he hadn't done in years. He wore his old wristwatch, cleaned his beard, and walked slowly but surely to the land behind the church. Femi was standing under the shade of a zinc sheet talking to a carpenter. He turned, shocked to see him. The old man looked around the half-built structure. He then said quietly, my wife would have liked this porch. Femi's heart thundered. Malik continued, you have done what I asked, but more than that, you waited. You respected the silence. He reached into his back pocket and handed Femi something small, a folded Ankara cloth. Inside it, a delicate gold ring. It was hers, he said softly. Now it's hers again. He paused. Go and ask her. This time, I'll say yes. That evening, as compound case chased bubbles and Sandra danced to Tiwa Savage in her corner, Femi knocked on room 7 with shaky hands. Aisha opened the door, her scarf loose, eyes wide. He knelt down immediately, unwrapped the Ankara, presented the gold ring. You once said you like slippers. I want to build a life where you can wear heels, boots, or nothing at all, as long as it is with me. Her eyes filled with tears, and she said, yes. From room 2, Uncle Kolapo screamed, ah, he don't propose again, no. And just like that, the whole compound exploded into claps, music, and Mama Njideka yelling, we must chop goat for this one. It wasn't fancy, but it was unforgettable. Held in the compound, decorated with Ankara and sunflowers, catered by Mama Njideka and 2 aunties who claimed they once cooked for Basanjo. That's a lie. Sandra did makeup. Uncle Kolapo was the MC, and when Baba Malik walked Aisha down the corridor, tears streaming both their face. Everyone cried, even Femi, even the stubborn neighbor who never smiled. 1 month later, the house behind the church had a front door and two names on the gate, Femi and Aisha. On Sunday mornings, Baba Malik came for tea. He never stayed long, but he always left smiling. One evening, Aisha found her father writing something in his old notebook. "What are you doing?" she asked. He smiled. "I'm writing our story because I think someone else out there might need to believe again." 3 months after the wedding, life had softened around Baba Malik like early morning dew. The compound was quieter now. Femi and Aisha had moved into their new home, and room 7 echoed with stillness, the kind that comes after storms. But something else had begun to stir. 4 months after the wedding, Chief Lanre returned, this time not with warnings but with a proposal. "You may have walked away from the empire, Malik," he said, "but your name never did. The men who stole from you, they are finally being dragged out, and your company, Rescon, is still legally yours." Baba Malik listened quietly. His hand resting on his shoemaker hammer like it was an old friend he was preparing to say goodbye to. Lanre placed a single envelope on the table. Inside it contained court documents reclaiming 100% ownership of Rescon Properties Limited, a letter of public apology drafted by the firm's new legal team, and a quiet handwritten note from Lanre himself. "Lagos thought you were gone, but we have been waiting for your return." 2 weeks later, Engineer Malik Ibrahim returned to the company he built, not in a luxury car, but in the same brown Sanders he used to walk the compound. He didn't fire anyone. He didn't make noise. He just walked into the boardroom and said, "I lost everything once because I trusted the wrong man. Now I plan to build it again, but with integrity, transparency, and humility." The board stood up and clapped, even the ones who once doubted him. Rescon's name was cleared. Malik's story made quiet headlines, the tale of a man who rose, fell, vanished, and returned, not bitter, but better. He didn't move to Ikoyi. He stayed close to Surulere, close to his daughter, close to the land where he learned that love is louder than wealth. Every Sunday, he visited Femi and Aisha. He sat under their porch, the one Femi built with his bare hands, sipping warm tea and smiling at his granddaughter's tiny footsteps on the concrete. One evening, as the sun dripped gold across the sky, Aisha leaned over and asked, "Papa, do you ever regret disappearing?" He looked at her and finally whispered, "Never. Some things had to break so I could learn what really matters." The moral lesson of this story is that sometimes life breaks us not to destroy us, but to rebuild us quietly into who we were always meant to be. Baba Malik lost everything, his wealth, his identity, and the love of his life. But in choosing humility over revenge, silence over scandal, and character over comfort, he found something far more valuable: peace, purpose, and a future for his daughter. We live in a world where people chase status, noise, and validation, but this story reminds us that real wealth is legacy, real power is patience, and real love never rushes, but builds brick by brick. Sometimes the strongest fathers are the ones who love silently, and the bravest children are the ones who choose to forgive. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tell us, what did you learn from Baba Malik's story? Until next time, bye.